Welcome back to Bad Boss Detox. In recognition of Pride Month, we're going to go a little bit rogue and tell you about some companies that support and uplift LGBTQ employees. It's great to include someone, but to truly accept and embrace them is going a step above just welcoming.
But is this just good PR? What do individual employees have to say about their work environments at some of the most supposedly LGBTQ plus inclusive companies? Find out this week on Bad Boss Detox. All right, future editing mode Katie here. Here's the thing, you guys. We recorded this episode several weeks ago, and in the interim time, in the time it took for us to edit and put this out, we found out that several of the companies that we are about to say lots of nice things about apparently pulled out of corporate sponsorship for Pride events in 2025. So out of the few that we're going to talk about, Google, Deloitte, and IBM all just pulled out of Pride celebration sponsorship. Yeah, I know. So please take everything we're about to say with a grain of salt and know that information changes all the time. And this is why it's really important to do your own research and make sure you're looking at legitimate news sources, et cetera, et cetera. Also, keep in mind that corporations exist pretty much to make money. Like, they're not there to do anything else, really. So, unfortunately, sometimes they change their tune when it benefits them financially, politically, or whatever. Nevertheless, we think that the information in this episode will still be informative and helpful, so hopefully you enjoy it. Happy Pride. All right. Well, how are you, Ivy?
I am great. As usual, my life has just improved since leaving my bad boss behind. 6 months this week.
6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You get another chip. I don't know what color it is, but you get a chip for that. Pretty sure.
I hope it's a rainbow color.
Ah, I'm sure they make it in June. They sell them at Target, and they're twice the price of the regular ones.
Yeah, they sell them everywhere. Have you heard of, what is it called? Rainbow washing?
Yes, we're going to talk about that later. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is a thing.
How's Katie?
So, I am good. I've been doing some auditions today and just working and rocking and rolling. The Loud Boys did not come today until like a few minutes ago, so they might show up in the middle of the podcast, which will be fun. That's the landscapers that come by with the leaf blowers and just like blow the leaf blowers at nothing for 6 hours.
Well, I only have 2 dogs this time, so we might not have as much barking, so the lawn guys could take over making the noise.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Yeah. All right, I do have my air conditioner on because, fuck it, it's 90 degrees.
Yeah, it's been hot.
Yeah. My poor sweaty husband is sweaty Bethany in his office. He has to have the air off all day while I'm working.
Oh my God. You are lucky to have a husband who is accommodating for that, because if I told my husband I was turning the air off, he'd be like, no, you're not. He'd really be like, fine, I'm going outside, sweat even more.
We have fans.
Yeah.
You know. But he's actually kind of super cold-natured. He's always cold, so he has like a higher threshold for being too hot than I do. It gets to be like 74, and I'm like, I'm dying.
Oh, see, well, I mean, my husband does complain about the heat, and he does but he hates to be cold. He would much rather it be hot than cold.
I'm the other way around, because if I'm cold, I can always put on more clothes, but I can only take off so much.
Well, that's what I always say to him, too. Yeah. It's like because I get hot, like doing stuff, working around the house, and this motherfucker's sitting on the couch in his warmie going, it's cold, and I'm like, or take off something. You can put stuff on. I cannot.
Yeah.
I was busy.
Men.
Yeah, I know.
Well, all right.
Well, let's talk about some working while gay statistics and legislation, Katie.
I wonder, did you just Google working while gay?
That's exactly what I Googled.
I love it. Great. Great. All right. So a startling statistic. As of 2023, Glassdoor found that 45% of employed LGBTQ plus Americans think that being out at work could damage their careers, cause them to lose their job, or be passed over for a promotion or excluded from a project. That sucks.
Well, this just might be my rose-colored glasses talking, but I really thought that we had come further than that.
No.
Yeah, I really did. Just because I don't know anyone that is still in the closet.
Yeah.
Well, 4.5% of the U.S. population is lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, with an estimated 11 million LGBTQ plus people in the American workforce. As of February of 2025, according to an article on Indeed.com, 20 states plus Washington, D.C. have laws that explicitly prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity.
26 states have no laws prohibiting discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity, and 3 states actually have laws to prevent the passage or enforcement of local non-discrimination laws. Any guesses which states those are? Oh, yes. Tennessee, Florida, Texas. That's my guess.
No, that's not it.
No?
It's Tennessee, North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, Texas is not one of them.
Well, Texas probably couldn't agree on it because they're too big a state.
Tennessee, North Carolina. I don't know, probably Alabama. I don't remember.
One of those redneck places.
There is, however, the Title VII section in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but it didn't always help our LGBTQ friends. So let's take a minute to discuss exactly what Title VII is and why the new DEI stuff doesn't overrule it. In 1963, President John F. Kennedy proposed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a landmark civil rights and labor law in the United States. Title VII of that bill outlaws discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. The bill was initially opposed, and then, of course, Kennedy was assassinated. So Lyndon Johnson eventually signed the bill into law in 1964.
So fast forward about 56 years to the Bostock ruling of 2020. In 2020, there was a ruling in the Bostock versus Clayton County case when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that an employer's discharge of an employee based upon their sexual orientation or gender identity amounted to employment discrimination that violated Title VII. The Supreme Court made damn sure to point out that it was not addressing questions like shared bathrooms. It was only ruling upon discriminatory discharge. This case involved 3 separate cases.
This was really interesting to me, and I got a little carried away with the
I didn't know anything about this.
Me neither, and I had to look it up because something I read said Title VII and Bostock, and I was like, what the hell is that? So it was three separate cases, like Katie said. Amy Stevens is the first one. Amy worked as a funeral director at RG and GR Harris Funeral Homes. She worked there for like 6 years, but she had been in the funeral home business for 20 years. She said that as early as age 5, she knew she was a girl. In 2008, Amy started seeing a therapist to discuss and explore her knowledge that she is a woman. By 2012, Amy made the decision to tell her coworkers that she is a woman. When she informed the funeral home's owner that she is transgender and planned to come to work as the woman she is, the business owner fired her 2 weeks later, saying it would be unacceptable for her to appear and behave as a woman. She had worked there for 6 years. Like I said, she had worked in that business for 20 years. She was married to a woman, and her marriage stayed together but her boss fired her.
Yeah. So what exactly is unacceptable about that? Like, explain, boss, you know? And what did she do at the funeral home is my other
She
question.
was a funeral director.
Okay, so she interfaced with customers.
Yes.
She was like running the deal.
Yes.
So this is something that you have to work your way up to.
Yeah, and she had been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, after 20 years of experience, they're just like, you can't wear a dress to work. That's unacceptable. Okay. Fuck you. Like, that just pisses me off so much.
Well, it's more surprising to me that as a man, she was married to a woman. She was in a basically heterosexual marriage. And her wife stayed with her.
Yeah.
Did not, like you would expect, I would expect the wife before the boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the wife already knew. Like, if she had known she was trans since she was 5, then I feel like probably her wife was aware, you know? And
I don't
maybe
know. I don't know,
I mean,
because I did know a guy once who his wife did not know that he was going out dressed as a woman.
Mm-hmm. Well, every relationship's different, and you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. All right, the second person in the case was Don Zarda. Donald Zarda, a skydiving instructor, was fired from his job in 2010 because of his sexual orientation. He was taking a female tandem skydiving. As he strapped her to him in an effort to make her feel more comfortable being strapped to a man that was not her husband, he said, "It's okay, I'm gay." And that bitch went and tattled to his boss. Like, get a life, lady. He was trying to make her feel more comfortable. He was looking out for her so that she wouldn't be like, I don't know about this is a dude very close to me, you know.
And her husband was there, by the way. Her husband was
right.
He was strapped to a man as well. And that
his boss,
I wonder if that man said, "It's okay, I'm straight."
It's okay, I like the ladies. And that guy probably didn't think anything about it. Yeah. His boss fired him immediately for coming out to the customer. A federal trial court rejected his discrimination claim, saying that the Civil Rights Act does not protect him from losing his job for being a gay man. What? How? Tragically, in October 2014, Zarda died unexpectedly. So his surviving partner, Bill Moore, and his sister, Melissa Zarda, continued the lawsuit on his behalf. So, like, I just don't understand how... I mean, I guess if the language does not explicitly say discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity, that, like, a lawyer could say, no, it's just not in there. But, like, have some fucking common sense.
Well, that's what this did. But I can't believe it took this long to do it.
Yeah,
because it didn't specify. They had to add the language.
Yeah. Stupid.
Gerald Bostock. Gerald Lynn, did you look it up? Is it Bostock?
I didn't. Do you want me to look real quick?
Well, we've already said it 2 different ways. So, Gerald
Sorry
Bostock.
if we're mispronouncing the name.
Gerald Lynn Bostock was fired from his job as a county child welfare services coordinator when his employer learned he was gay because he joined the Atlanta area's Hotlanta Softball League, a gay softball league, in January 2013. A few months later, he was fired.
So that is the kind of thing that really worried me about working in a super conservative public school, because our private lives were subject to undue scrutiny, and even something totally unrelated to work could have us in hot water. And this guy joined a softball league, and for some reason, the boss decided that he needed to be fired from his job as a child welfare services coordinator.
Yeah, I think they said it was also inappropriate. It was inappropriate.
He's not at work. Leave him alone.
Exactly. You know, word gets out.
Who cares?
So these 3 cases, tried as one, tied LGBTQ employment protection to the sex part of Title VII. Bostock was the only living plaintiff when the trial finally happened, so it's named for him. Also, all 3 received financial payouts as well. I think the total was $825,000. And Amy Stevens' wife is who carried on for her. So the presidents orders targeting woke gender ideology do not change existing employment protections for LGBTQ plus employees. They can't hire you solely based on these things, but they can't fire you solely for these reasons either, even in states with at-will employment. At-will employment means that an employer can typically fire an employee for any reason they want, except an illegal reason, such as unlawful discrimination. And that's where Title VII of the Civil Rights Act comes in.
Now I have a question because
Okay.
you did this research.
Okay.
So, I had heard a sad story about someone who was fired from their job, and the company did not give them a reason why they were fired because the company was afraid that if they gave the reason, then they would have a case to
Right.
sue. The employee would, because then they, but that's basically admitting that it's an illegal reason.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Isn't it?
So it has to be proven.
Okay.
So like with I think it was Bostock himself, when he was fired, they gave a different reason. They said
Okay.
something about his checks and balances or something. I don't have it in front of me.
Some bullshit
but they
reason.
gave a different reason.
But
it coincided with, and they proved that their other reason was invalid. So they were able to prove that he was fired because he joined that gay softball league.
Okay.
The other two, they told him straight up, you're fired because you said you were gay or because you decided to come to work as a woman. That one, no. That one was, they had to prove it, and they did. But it took years.
Yeah.
This
is why you save receipts, people.
This happened in this law passed in 2020, but the earliest of these three cases was 2010. Just because a person or place claims inclusivity or everyone is welcome, I say this all the time. Churches piss me off. The signs that say everyone is welcome. When they change welcome to accepted, then we can talk. But you can welcome anybody and still not accept them.
That's right.
When somebody is, it's like I tolerate certain things. You don't want to be tolerated. You want to be, you want to be accepted.
Yeah. Tolerance is different than acceptance.
And welcome is different than
you're saying there.
acceptance too.
Yeah.
Welcome means you can come in. You're allowed to come in. We're not going to tell you.
We'll take your money if you want to give it to us.
We're not going to tell you can't come in. But acceptance is come in, be part of our group. We love you. We accept you.
There's a place for you here. Yeah.
And we aren't going to tell you to change or try to pray the gay away.
Yeah.
So that doesn't always translate into real life, company culture, or the experiences of individual employees. Even if your company is the most diverse ever, there still needs to be inclusiveness and acceptance of lifestyles that differ from yours.
Yeah. So the Human Rights Campaign Foundation seeks to help contextualize the current workplace climate and experiences of LGBTQ plus workers. In 2023, HRC Foundation found that 84% of LGBTQ plus workers are out to at least one person in their current job, compared to 54% in 2018's report, A Workplace Divided. So that is an improvement, as you said you were expecting to see that. 40% of LGBTQ plus workers have withheld their identity at their job due to fear of being stigmatized or facing violence at work. So those two statistics kind of conflict. So to me, it says that in the past, they have withheld their identity at the job, perhaps because of those reasons.
35% of LGBTQ plus workers have heard their colleagues make jokes and or negative comments about gay or lesbian people or about transgender people.
Yeah, and doing it in front of someone else, even if you're not talking about them, it still makes them feel the same way.
Right. But
Sorry.
I mean, it always is going to depend on the people because, like, there are gay and lesbian and transgender people who make jokes about themselves. There are black people who make
that's
jokes
not what I'm
about
talking
themselves.
about.
This is
right.
behind your back, making fun of you kind of things. 31% of LGBTQ plus workers say their colleagues seem uncomfortable when they talk about their sexual orientation. 45% of transgender and non-binary workers say their colleagues seem uncomfortable when they talk about their gender identity. 54% of transgender and non-binary workers say they have felt unhappy or depressed at work.
That's rough. Glassdoor's 2022 report of the top 10 highest-rated companies for LGBTQ plus workers stood the test of time. Sort of. We compared it to Newsweek's 2025 list of the top 400 companies to work for if you are part of the LGBTQ plus community. 3 out of the 10 in Glassdoor's 2022 report were not included in the new report. But there are 400 companies in the Newsweek article for you to choose from. And we will link the article in the show notes for you. We're going to highlight a few of the companies from these lists that stood out to us and let you listeners form your own opinions. So here we go.
Google. The LGBTQ plus employee rating out of 5 is 4.38. Google is considered a great place to work for the LGBTQ plus community due to several key factors. Inclusive culture. Google has established a strong LGBTQ plus allyship through initiatives like the Gagler Employee Resource Group, which provides mentorship and visibility to LGBTQ plus leaders. I have not said Gagler out loud yet. That was the first time. And yeah, it's kind of hard to say. Gagler.
It's because they refer to the company employees as Googlers.
Right.
And so Gagler is the, I guess, their little pun on that.
Recognition and support. Google has been recognized as one of America's greatest workplaces for LGBTQ+ in 2024, highlighting its commitment to creating a supportive workplace environment.
Their advocacy and representation. The company actively supports LGBTQ+ initiatives, including Pride Month and National Coming Out Day, and has led the way in benefits for LGBTQ+ employees. Community and belonging. Members of the Gagler Group have reported a sense of belonging and camaraderie, which is crucial for fostering a positive workplace culture.
These elements contribute to a workplace where LGBTQ+ employees feel valued, respected, and supported, making Google a desirable place to work.
Now, just to prove to you that we were not paid by Google to say this, unlike some podcasters, we found testimonials from actual employees who seem to reflect a different reality. One open letter signed by 120 LGBTQ Google employees stated, "We have spent countless hours advocating for our company to improve policies and practices regarding the treatment of LGBTQ+ persons on YouTube and other Google products." So that was talking about, I believe, some perceived censorship on YouTube and things like that, since that is owned by Google. The other quote was, "Google cannot claim to support trans people and its trans employees and then simultaneously appoint someone committed to trans erasure to a key AI advisory position." So, promoting people that have made it clear that they don't support these initiatives.
Trans erasure? That sounds terrible.
There were some transphobic autocomplete suggestions. The company's reliance on user reports to address problematic search results can result in transphobic or discriminatory suggestions being perpetuated. So that autocomplete is AI. It's thinking. This is an article from 2019 in The Guardian.
And it was also before the other articles.
Yeah,
so
it was 6
been.
years old. Google employees call for removal of right-wing think tank leader from AI Council. This person's name was K. Cole James. Let's just look up that name.
Has that person been deleted from Google?
K. Cole James, the former president of the Heritage Foundation, no! Was appointed to Google's AI Ethics Council in 2019. Yeah, okay, I see that shit, Google. Yeah, I'd be fucking pissed too. Oh, no. All right, I see it now.
Oh, Lord.
So sad. But that was in 2019. This person was appointed to face criticism. James' views were not aligned with the company's ethical guidelines. Following the controversy, Google scrapped the AI Ethics Council, so they just got rid of the department. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to dig into this more, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I can see the point there.
Yeah.
If they're hiring someone from the Heritage Foundation at all, yeah, that's not really walking the walk. Yeah, the things you learn when you research. So to me, this says that every individual's experience may differ. And really, the only way things get better is if we create an environment where people feel safe to speak out about discrimination and other unsavory choices made by companies. So hear me, bosses. You can't please everyone, but you can make an effort to actually listen and apply feedback. You know, you're always going to have some employee that has something to complain about, especially when you may not be a part of the same communities as that employee, and you just may not know what they're experiencing, or it just may not be on the boss's radar. So if nobody brings it to their attention, you know, they can't really improve about it. But if the employees don't feel safe to bring it to their attention, then, you know, that's a bigger problem.
And also, I don't think that everybody has to necessarily, like everybody in the company has to necessarily agree with everybody else's lifestyle or even accept everybody else's lifestyle. It's just if you come to work and are an asshole to people, like I work with people who disagree with me politically, religiously, and all that stuff, but we love each other.
Yeah. It is unprofessional to be an asshole.
Anyway, all right, number 2, Microsoft. LGBTQ plus employee rating 4.35. This quote I found, and this was a whole article that I read, but Michelle Chen wore boys' clothes and kept her hair buzzed until one day in the 3rd grade while she was leaving the girls' restroom. Several teachers stood there responding to a complaint of a boy in the girls' restroom. From then on, Chen ran home after school to use the restroom. I felt so ashamed that someone else had to validate my gender, said Chen, who also felt pressured to grow out her hair and dress more traditionally feminine just to feel more inconspicuous using the restroom.
It wasn't until Chen came to work at Microsoft that she began to realize the full impact of this experience of trying to hide in plain sight had on her life. For the first time, being lesbian wasn't a liability or a worry. Chen was able to embrace it as an integral part of her identity. I truly believe that coming to Microsoft changed my life, said Chen, who quickly encountered many other LGBTQ plus employees and allies at the company. I had never met so many people that truly wanted to learn more about me and accepted me for who I was. But again, if you search negative quotes from Microsoft employees, you'll find a bunch of conflicting opinions.
It's such a huge company, though. That's going to happen.
Yeah, right.
That's definitely going to happen.
But overall, according to this article, they have a pretty good employee rating for their inclusivity.
Deloitte is a professional services, Katie said, accounting something firm. LGBTQ plus employee rating 4.17. Proud at Deloitte is our employee resource group to support the LGBTQ plus lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and more community to create a sense of belonging, support, and appreciation. Proud at Deloitte educates people on the diversity of this community with all their beauty and their challenges. They share experiences, provide tools, and improve processes to empower people to be allies and foster an inclusive and equitable culture. Lastly, they connect outside our firm, leveraging the scale and influence of Deloitte to build better futures together. Laura Grutenboer is a co-lead of Proud at Deloitte, and she says, Proud at Deloitte is a way to come together, support each other, and drive positive change. I'm proud of the steps we've taken to make Deloitte a more inclusive workplace for LGBTQ plus colleagues. And one of the things about them, and there might be one other company that does this too, they don't only accept and include and all that stuff, the LGBTQ plus community, but they teach other people how to be allies.
Yes.
Several of the companies that I read about do that, where they help people become allies. I read a story about one guy, and I can't remember what company it was, but he went out to lunch with two guys. He was new at the job, and he went out to lunch with these two guys. And after lunch, he thought, I think they're gay. And one of them came up to him and talked to him about it. Like, just openly. He knew the guy was feeling a little kind of away about it. And now, after being there for like 15 years, he is a proud ally, and he has befriended and learned from people. He had never met a gay person before. He had never met what he called a cross-dresser before. And he met them there at this company, and he became friends with them. And he was like, it's kind of like Jody and I watch The Amazing Race. There was this country couple from Kentucky, and the woman, she got so excited in one of the diary rooms, and I can't remember exactly what she said, but she clapped her little hands and she was like, I never met a gay person before. I love them. It was so adorable.
I had the same reaction when I went to college.
Oh, really?
I grew up in such a little bubble, you know. And so once you're exposed to people that are different than you and you just get to know them, like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
The diversity is so important in all of these kind of places, schools, work, everything.
For sure.
As soon as you meet someone face to face, it's really hard to deliberately be a bitch to them.
Exactly.
Once you've already decided that you like them, you know? Yeah. And like you have to question, like, all right, I really like this person. They can't actually be all the things that I was taught that they are.
Mm-hmm. All right. Progressive. They did not make it onto the 2024-25 list after they took some heat in 2022 for their quote-unquote woke practices. Progressive is the insurance company, with Flo. LGBTQ employee rating at the time of the top 10. So in 2022, whenever this list was I don't remember. But anyway, in 2022, their CEO, Tricia Griffith, made some comments defending their DE&I practices, hiring practices, stating that things like, we think it's very important to have a fair and inclusive work environment, reflect the customers we serve, and for our leaders to reflect the people they lead.
I love that.
Yep. We believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion is an important part of our growth and just the right thing to do. She was later asked, are you saying that people with a certain skin color all think a certain way? She replied, no. We need to be able to represent that. You can't put yourself in the shoes of somebody else if you don't have a representative organization that represents the country as a whole. You could never know what it feels like to be a female. I could never know what it feels like to be a male. So we need to represent everyone. But then in 2023, they were sued by a trans man for discrimination. They settled. Then I found a racial discrimination suit, and I got all upset. But it was a butthurt white guy who said, hey, no fair. You have a grant set up for Black-owned businesses. What about the rest of them? And I stopped reading it after I read that his company is called Freedom Trucking.
I mean, I think that says it.
But they didn't make the list for 2024, 2025, and the list has 400 companies on it.
Have they changed their tune then? Have they? So this...
I can't really find anything.
What's her name? Trisha Griffith. Is she still the CEO?
I don't know.
Okay, let's look it up. Let's see. All right. Progressive Insurance CEO.
I did see some other
Still
things
her.
where they're saying that Flo is being discriminated against and not shown as much because she's in her 50s now.
Well, listen.
She's fucking
She had a good
hilarious.
run.
I love Flo.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not the casting director, but I think the other people in those commercials are equally funny and deserve their little moment too.
Agreed.
I think,
Agreed.
I really like whatever the monotone girl is.
Yes.
She's cute.
Yeah.
The commercials really don't necessarily represent anything, but that's just how we know the company. That's what we think of. So yeah, Trisha Griffith is still the CEO, so I'm not sure why they didn't make the list. Interesting. Yeah, she's been the CEO since 2016.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of searching. It might just be because they got sued by a trans person.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah, could have been one thing that happened. And, like we said, the CEO's views do not necessarily reflect the views of every single employee.
Right, and there's going to be managers that it just depends on how far up you are. You might not know what the little people are doing.
Yeah, the little people pay taxes. We don't pay taxes. Okay. So next is IBM. Their LGBTQ plus employee rating is 4.0. IBM has been leading the charge on this for several years. As far back as 1984, we read several articles from employees about this. The way this company creates and educates allies goes beyond just accepting everyone.
It was IBM.
The company.
It was IBM that had the guy that I told you about a minute ago that was educated
that
on
he
being
went
an
to the
ally.
lunch.
Yes, it was. I think IBM got undercut on this bad.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The company included sexual orientation in its non-discrimination policy. 1984.
Mm-hmm.
So they already had that in there in 1984. That's great. In 1995, they established an LGBT executive task force, known today as the Global LGBT Council. I would love to see an LGBT task force of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that image. IBM has received, just everybody out here with their fans, getting shit done.
I want a superhero movie that's all LGBT.
Yes, Marvel, get on that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. IBM has received awards for its policies, including scoring 100% on the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index, and has been designated as one of 8 star performers in Stonewall's Global Equity Index of 2015. That's great. Yep. Ella Slade, Global LGBT plus leader, diversity and inclusion at IBM, says, when a company accepts individuals for exactly who they are and employees feel supported, they are able to bring their whole self to work and can thrive. There is more space in your brain to focus on work. That is so true, Ella Slade.
I love the bring their whole self to work.
Yes.
Because I, as a straight white woman, have never even considered hiding any part of myself at work.
Well, that's good.
You know?
I have a lot. I had to hide that I had opinions. I had to hide my political beliefs. It's kind of hard to do when you work in theater and it's such a open and progressive community already. And,
See, but I don't think not
people knew that I was
my political beliefs is hiding them. I think it's just I don't want to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Well,
what I mean is I had people at school tell me that they knew what kind of person I was because they had stalked me on social media and saw that I had been to Pride with my friends, or that they knew what my agenda was because I was a theater teacher, therefore I must be a liberal snowflake, And it was just I will tell that whole story someday. It's not quite relevant, but yeah, I know a little bit of what it's like to feel like you have to hide your identity at work, Not anywhere near the extent of someone who's trans and can't be out at work. That's just so oppressive and it'll tear you down. But there's, like she said, there's more space in your brain to focus on work.
Mm-hmm.
And all that we wanted as teachers was for all of our kids to feel safe and included so that they could actually learn. You know?
I wanted to,
That's it.
And I actually scrolled through my phone for a minute and did a couple of searches for an appliance repair person who came to fix my oven. This girl with blue hair and a cap gets out of the car and comes into the house, and I was like, I've never had a girl fix an appliance in my house before. That's weird. You know, not a typically female position, right? So she's in my kitchen and she starts talking to me. Or she said, my wife and I decorated our house based on your house. And I was like, you've been in my house before? So I thought, maybe she was in high school with my kids and was here? She said, yeah, we put skateboards up. And I said, why were you in my house before? Did you know my kids? She said, I fixed your oven once before. And I said, I don't remember a girl ever coming and fixing my oven. And she goes, I wasn't a girl then.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, what a hard job to come out as trans in, right? So I always made an effort to request her when I needed something repaired. Now, she didn't do all appliances. So when I had her come to fix something at the gym where I work, we had a conversation. And she said that, her job really sucked because...
Moving on.
So Walt Disney Company, boy, this is like a roller coaster, literally Walt Disney Company. LGBTQ plus employee rating 3.93, and they did not make the list for Newsweek.
The 400 companies.
Right. They are not.
So they got kicked off the
on
list.
that list. Yes.
Ouch.
Disney's LGBTQ history is mixed. There is a Disney company on there, but it's not Walt Disney Company. It's like Disney Vacations or something. The company has queer-coded characters in movies and gay days at parks, but stumbled on the Don't Say Gay bill.
Yeah, so what happened with that?
Well, it's complicated. So Disney is like gay. From the early days, Disney has had, dare I say, mostly gay creators, gay fans, gay performers, and gay employees. But they fancy themselves a family company and therefore have to be wholesome. All the while, they have all these gay-coded characters. And I had to look that up. Gay-coded means characters that come across as gay, basically, or that are based on gay, or that would be gay if Disney was
They're gay, but we can't say they're gay.
Right. Don't say gay.
Yeah. Right.
Characters like Ursula the Sea Witch of Little Mermaid, who is clearly divine, the drag queen, clearly. It's kind of like they want to play both sides of the fence. Like when they had a gay celebration at the park and all the LGBT folks wore red shirts. So Disney handed out white shirts to straight people who came that day accidentally wearing red.
Wait. So if you walked up to the park and they were like, this guy's straight as fuck, we're going to just hand him a white shirt? Or was there like a question? Did they say like...
It didn't say that. I don't know, but it was like, you know, we're just going to, in case we don't want someone to think you're gay if you're not gay, or if you don't want people to think you're gay and you wore that red shirt on Red Shirt Day and all the red shirts are gay people. So here's a white one.
Yeah. It just seems like they want money too badly to offend people by promoting actual equality and inclusiveness. That's what I'm taking away
they're
from
on
that.
the fence. Like I said, they're like, well, we don't want these people to not bring their children here, but then we also don't want the gay people to not come here because they made us. So we're gonna just be wishy-washy. Yeah.
And you know what? I don't know what the solution is for that because and I've never worked for Disney, but I have had friends who have. And it's giving capitalist. If they would just be okay with just coming out and saying like, hey, we're inclusive of everyone. Nothing about what we do is sexualized, but we are inclusive of everyone. And if you don't like that, then,
See, that's
you don't
the
have to
thing.
come here, I guess.
For me, I think that sexualization has no place in children.
Of course.
And so you don't see Disney porn. There's not like...
Well, not official Disney porn.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So like why not just be wholesome and say not all gay stuff is about sex? Just because somebody is openly gay doesn't mean sex.
Yeah. There's this association with anyone who's not straight and like sexual deviancy somehow, So
yeah, there's sexual deviants that are straight. There's sexual deviants that are gay. Now I do have...
and there's been more Republican lawmakers who've been arrested for bathroom crimes than trans people.
Well, I do have I have a gay friend who I said to him once, I thought you went on the gay family cruise or something, that one of the gay cruises, and he said no, because there's a lot of debauchery on the gay cruises.
Okay.
And he said, and we don't participate in that. So we go on not gay cruises, So
yeah.
So
then that just means they need to have a family friendly, inclusive cruise if they want.
But Disney doesn't do any of that. There's no.
If they're really about money here, couldn't you make a little bit more money if you had a family friendly rainbow cruise where you could have like families that have gay parents could bring their kids, and it's that vibe.
That's what I thought that he had said they had done, because they took
their
kids.
This sounds like it's more like a adults only.
And I was wrong, but he told me,
which is allowed.
He was like, I'm not going on any gay cruises, but that's neither here nor there with Disney.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Disney's eventual statement surrounding the Don't Say Gay bill was deemed wishy-washy. It read, in part, "The biggest impact we can have in creating a more inclusive world is through the inspiring content we produce, the welcoming culture we create here, and the diverse community organizations we support, including those representing the LGBTQ plus community." So, what does that mean?
It means
the biggest impact we have is our creative stuff we make. We have a welcoming culture here. That's about it. So next on the list was Apple. Their LGBTQ plus employee rating is 3.91. And Apple has always felt super woke to me in a good way, so I wondered why they weren't higher on the list.
Well, you would hope that one of the biggest tech brands in the world, which also has the first openly gay CEO of a Fortune 500 company, would be an
LGBTQ.
Would be an LGBTQ-friendly place to work, and it does appear to be true, but I couldn't actually find as much info about it beyond our boss is gay and we make rainbow watch bands every June.
Yeah, so making rainbow shit every June, that's called rainbow washing or rainbow capitalism.
Well, Apple is one of
earlier.
The companies that if you read about rainbow washing, Apple is actually really supportive and not just rainbow washing.
Yes, it sounds that way to me. Yeah. But while we're on the topic, okay. That's called rainbow capitalism, and it's really just another excuse for corporations to cash in by creating merchandise targeting a specific demographic. And these companies may or may not really care about LGBTQ concerns, but they do care about their dollar bills.
Yeah, there's pink washing too in October.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Right, and the company that I've noticed doing this the worst is Target.
Yeah.
Although I don't shop at Target anymore.
They stopped. Remember last year they got
Yeah. So, but previously Target used to have this tacky as fuck Pride collection that was it was just made in China, so cheap. It was clearly they barely tried, and they wanted you to think that they were being inclusive. So when they got rid of it, is it totally gone? They don't have any.
I have not been to Target
Pride
in
stuff
years.
now. I haven't either.
Yeah, I don't
Let's
know.
look. I'm
We
curious.
used to go every Christmas, just for Christmas. I'm actually looking right now because I want to know if Target is on this list. I know Whole Foods is and Walgreens.
They apparently have a Pride collection right now.
Oh, really?
And there's a section on their website for LGBTQ plus owned brands.
Target is on this list with 4.5 stars.
Okay, but didn't they cave to the DEI thing? And they were like, yeah, well, I guess if we don't have to hire diverse people, then we won't.
Maybe, but this list is supposedly for 2025. Oh, this one's 2024.
Yeah. So, but I'm looking at their website right now. Yeah, I mean, they got Pride shit now.
All right, I have
They'll
the
take your money.
2025 list. Hold on. Yep, Target's still on here, and this time it's 5 stars.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. Texas Roadhouse is on this list. That's a little surprising.
Yes, there are still ongoing planned boycotts of Target. While some boycotts have specific durations, like blah, 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 blah. There's a Latino freeze movement going on. Boycotts are largely in response to Target's decision to roll back its DEI initiatives.
Oh, look, Walt Disney Company made it back on the 2025 list. They were not on the 2024.
Okay. All right. Some of y'all are just walking the line here.
They're all over the place.
Okay,
all
yeah.
over the place.
Anyway, so back to Apple. There's just so much we have to talk about with this.
Right. Apple does have a long history of supporting LGBTQ plus causes and have lobbied heavily against legislation that would harm gay and trans communities.
Yeah, I mean, the president has been targeting Apple lately, so I guess that kind of says they're on to something good, in my opinion.
Within Apple, employees can join one of the many Diversity Network Associations, or DNA, which champion differences and acceptance, and the first started way back in 1986. The LGBTQ-based network Pride at Apple helps employees connect with like-minded workers, ensures that their voices are heard by leadership, and provides support and resources.
So what do we think? Are these mega companies really supportive of LGBTQ folks, or is it just performative? What do you think, Ivy?
Well, I think, like we said before, it's going to depend on a case-by-case kind of location, the state you're in, who's the top boss in that particular organization, because a company that has a headquarters and the people in the headquarters could all be great and diverse and come into work gay and all of that stuff, but then when you hire people, do you say, what's your opinion on being gay, or what's your opinion on it's kind of like you can become best friends with someone and have a great time, and then election season comes around and you start talking and you find out that this person has different views than you.
Yeah.
I think it can happen.
And it's not just different views, it's views that threaten your very existence.
Right, but but the actual people, the people who leadership is very different than the people. The people, I know people who support Trump that actually are wonderful people. And you're just not going to convince them. You're not going to convince them, just like they're not going to convince me. I think it's the same thing with these people. You can say from the top, you can say from your throne, you must love and accept everybody. Okay, yes, we will. Yes, thank you, sir, we will.
Or ma'am.
But they might not.
Yeah.
They might not.
Yeah, I think it depends more upon who you're working closely with, so who's on your team.
Yeah.
If the lady in the next cubicle is a homophobic biatch, then she's the problem.
Right.
Not necessarily the company itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But until the company policy becomes, we reserve the right to fire someone for being a homophobic/racist biatch after they've continually demonstrated this behavior with several warnings, then I think there's room for improvement, And this is why you save your receipts.
I was just going to say, you said earlier,
Yes.
save your receipts. I still have all of my emails just in case.
Yep.
So
if that lady says something homophobic to you and then you write an email explaining to your supervisor what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and then your supervisor does nothing,
Mm-hmm.
that's on the supervisor.
Paper trail.
Paper trail.
Mm-hmm.
Save it. Receipts.
You
all day.
don't have to approve of, agree with. You don't have to love, respect, or any of the things. You don't have to do that, but you have to be kind, and you have to not hurt people because you don't think the same way they do.
If I'm capable of working with so many hyper-religious, conservative, without being insulting and rude to them for their different views than me, then everybody can give each other the same courtesy. Like, if you know that you disagree with someone about something, just don't talk about it and just be professional.
Yep.
Good enough. So, we don't have a listener story this week, but do you remember the one about the guy whose boss told him to not act so gay?
Yeah, the one who said he didn't have a sequin purse that falls out of his mouth.
Yes. So, one of my gay besties heard that story, and he made note of the fact that the boss didn't say anything, regardless of the boss's intentions, because that's what we were kind of debating a little bit, until the employee was in the car on the way to this potentially uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
So, they were already trapped.
Yep.
And it would have been far more helpful to mention that, like, in private before the employee was trapped in a moving vehicle on his way to that work site, so that the employee then had a chance to have an out and say, actually, I don't have the bandwidth for that today.
Yep.
Can we not? And that story still kind of haunts me, honestly. My same friend told me a story of how someone at his work had said some really small-minded, stereotypical shit to him behind his back. Well, not to him, but behind his back. And I'm not going to share the details on the pod because he didn't give me permission to do that. But it was basically that he didn't feel comfortable saying anything to his boss because he already didn't feel safe there. And so if the boss is the one making these comments or the one hearing these comments and doing nothing, then who are you supposed to go to?
Yeah.
If your boss doesn't have a boss,
then
who do you go to? And so I really felt bad about that, like learning that about his situation. But listeners, basically, if you're experiencing any type of situation that makes you feel uncomfortable at work, like discrimination or harassment, do know that the law is still on your side.
Yep. Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
So keep receipts. And if you don't feel comfortable saying something to your boss about this situation because maybe the boss was involved and there's no one else you can talk to, you still should have some documentation that it happened in some way. If you can, document that in whatever way you can, do it. So it's time for the vocab word of the week. I tried to find one that was a positive connotation, and I did. So this one is veracity. Not voracity, that means hunger. This is veracity, veracity. It's a noun. It means conformity to facts or truth. Second definition is devotion to telling the truth. Why did I choose this word? Because pride is about living your truth, and your workplace should be too. Our example sentence is, your diversity statement is cute, but we're talking veracity, not vibes.
Nice.
Right? So it's not just about talking the talk for the money, for the gains in June when you want to sell some rainbow shit, okay? It's about actually making people feel comfortable.
It's about letting them come to work their whole self.
Yes. So that they don't have to think about that and worry about they will be so much better at their job. Good grief.
Yeah.
I'm still mad about that lady that got fired from the funeral home.
I know.
All right. So, you got a game for us?
I
You said
have
you
gay
did.
trivia.
Oh my goodness.
I started out with 15 questions. I narrowed it down to 8 because a lot of them were pretty obvious, so I knew you would get them right. These,
yes, maybe.
I didn't necessarily know all of them. Some of them I did. I took the quiz very quickly myself, and then chose the ones. All right, so.
Well, I'm like the only straight person in my friend group. One of my friends calls me Straighty Katie, and it's so mean.
That's okay, because my friends say that I'm the most vanilla.
Oh, man. Well, you're at least strawberry vanilla.
I am vanilla and a prude, according to my friends that, yeah. Every year I go to the beach with my BFF, who is a gay man. And the night before, I go visit the OG BFF, my best friend from junior high school, who is not a man. And, they call me a prude. Every time. That's okay.
All right. Let's see.
All right, Katie. What do the colors, this is multiple choice, so don't answer until I give you the answer. Okay. What do the colors of the rainbow pride flag represent? Is it A, different sexual orientations? Is it B, unity and diversity? Is it C, various aspects of life and community? Or is it D, the spectrum of gender identities?
Okay, now we are talking about the new pride flag. I think
this flag was designed in 1978.
Okay, so that's the old one. I think it's answer B. What was that answer again?
Unity and diversity was B.
I think that's, unity and diversity. That's my guess.
It is various aspects of life and community. The Rainbow Pride Flag, designed by Gilbert Baker in 1978, represents various aspects of life and community, such as red for life, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, blue for harmony, and violet for spirit.
Well, that's really sweet.
I thought so. All right, number 2.
But that's not the current up-to-date pride flag.
But it's the OG.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Who was Marsha P. Johnson? Before I even answer, do you know that?
She was a trans woman.
Okay.
And she's black.
Okay.
And she was an activist, I believe. Okay.
So Marsha P. Johnson, I won't even give you the things because ding, 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 you got this one right. Marsha P.
Mostly
Johnson
right.
was a black transgender woman, drag queen, and activist who played a key role in the Stonewall riots and founded the Gay Liberation Front and STAR, Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries. All right. Number 3. What does the term reading mean in drag culture?
I know this one. Okay. Reading, as in reading someone for filth, it means that you are like looking at them and assessing them based on whatever they're outwardly presenting, basically.
Yes and no. So it means basically critiquing them humorously, playfully insulting them.
Yes.
Number 4, which country, you probably know this one. Number 4, which country was the first to legalize same-sex marriage?
Ireland?
Nope. So is it A, Canada, B, Spain, C, South Africa, or D, the Netherlands?
Oh, it's probably the Netherlands.
Netherlands was the first country to legalize same-sex marriage in 2001, setting a precedent
Why did I think it was
worldwide.
Okay.
I don't remember what number we're on, but this one I knew the answer to. You might also. Okay. What does the pink triangle symbol represent in LGBTQ plus history?
Lesbian.
No. Is it A, a symbol of love and unity? B, a reclaimed symbol from the Holocaust? C, a representation of gender fluidity? Or D, a sign of protest against discrimination?
Okay, it's a reclaimed symbol from the Holocaust.
Yes, the pink triangle was originally used by the Nazis to identify gay men in concentration camps. It has since been reclaimed as a symbol of LGBTQ plus pride and resistance.
Do you know why I learned that?
Why?
Because there's a Weezer song called Pink Triangle that's about him having a crush on a girl that's gay. And he's like, ugh, if only she wasn't gay.
That's cute, but what, he couldn't change her? What does the term two-spirit refer to in indigenous cultures?
It is a kind of like a non-binary person. It's someone that represents, masculine and feminine and sort of a blend of that.
Yes. The term two-spirit is used in some indigenous cultures to describe a person who embodies both masculine and feminine spirits. It is a sacred and respected identity. All right.
I was really impressed when I learned about that,
Me too.
actually. I was like so heartened by that in Native American culture, like it's always been there, you guys. It's not like something that all of a sudden people have decided to be, you know.
Okay. Which Supreme Court case legalized same-sex marriage nationwide?
I don't know.
Is it A, I can't even say this, Obergefell versus Hodges, B, Lawrence versus Texas, C, United States versus Windsor, or D, Bowers versus Hardwick?
I have no idea.
So
I think I was just working one day and all of a sudden I was like, wait, gay marriage is legal. Yes.
So I had to look this up also because it's A, Obergefell versus Hodges. But the name is kind of fools you a little bit because it was several cases in one, kind of like the one we talked about with Bostock.
Yeah.
So I can't really give you much more information other than in 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court case Obergefell v. Hodges legalized same-sex marriage nationwide, affirming that marriage is a fundamental right for all. Wow, does that mean that my friends have been married for 10 years now? Because one of my friends got married in a legal state first, and then they did it again when it was legal everywhere. All right, last one. Which famous author wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray and was imprisoned for being gay?
Oscar
Yes,
Wilde.
ma'am. Oscar Wilde,
I read that
the
in high
author
school.
of The Picture of Dorian Gray, was imprisoned in 1895 for gross indecency due to his relationships with men.
Oscar Wilde was something else. Have you read that book?
But I've listened to
it's cool.
Snippets of it on my sleep meditation.
Yeah? Do you know? So you know the premise of it?
Subconsciously, I do, because I listen to it.
Yeah. So basically, the main character in the book like never ages and is eternally beautiful, and everyone starts to wonder like, what's his deal? And it's because he has a portrait in his attic that is like connected to his soul or something, and it like ages for him. So the uglier and more disgusting the portrait gets, the younger and more beautiful he stays.
Neat.
So when you hear someone say, that guy has a portrait in his attic, that's what they're referring to. Like someone who never seems to get
never
less
heard
beautiful.
anyone say that, but okay.
No?
No, not ever.
I hear that all the time. Well, that was fun. Thank you for putting that together.
Sure.
I knew some of them, but I didn't know all of them. I feel like you always get me with 2 truths and a lie. So
Well, I
giving me a break
tried to figure out
sometimes.
2 truths and a lie, and I was going to use these to do the 2 truths and a
Yeah.
lie, but I was like, hey, I don't have a lot of time. And I'm positive of anybody I know, Katie knows about Stonewall, so it can't use, so it's just, I just was like, I'm going to do trivia.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
I liked it. And we learned something today.
Going to work gay. All right. So, whether your workplace walks the walk or just waves a rainbow flag once a year, remember this. Your veracity, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Your veracity is your power. Living your truth shouldn't be revolutionary, but in some spaces, it still is.
Yeah. So if your boss can't handle the real you, know this. We see you, we celebrate you, and we'll be your moms. We'll adopt you. Until next time, stay bold, stay honest, and never forget, you deserve more than performative policies. You deserve respect. So happy Pride, y'all.
Happy Pride, y'all. This is coming
All
out
right.
at like the very end of Pride, though, isn't
This
it?
is going to be like the last week of June. But yeah, so I'm going to go take a walk and enjoy my neighbor's Pride decorations. There's a neighbor in my neighborhood that has a little goose on their porch with a rainbow flag shirt.
Oh, cute. I have in my neighborhood, I only know of 2 couples, both are lesbians. And there's one that I met recently, not that terribly long ago, but they put out all their little rainbow flags.
Yeah.
I like
Our neighborhood is typically pretty conservative, although I know that there are, some diverse people in our neighborhood who may or may not feel comfortable. But there's one porch with a gay goose.
There's the lesbians that are down here at the end of our street. They are pretty conservative. Anyway, I've got to go pick up a dog.
Okay.
Yeah, they were going to drop her off, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go pick her up because that way I don't have 3 dogs barking while I'm recording.
Yeah, that's a good call. Join us next week when we'll be talking about workplace boundaries. For real, though, you have rights.
Yeah.
Make sure to join us next time. Okay.
See ya.
Cool. Yay. See you
Bye.
later. Bye.